Yeah,
definitely something you have to acclimate.
yeah, like fishing in Idaho.
Mm. All right, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. Looks like we've got a couple of new folks in here. Hopefully, we'll have some more join as we progress. We usually do, but welcome everybody. My name's Josh or Cujo. We got Dave, Dan, and Alex. Um, so generally we do these on a bi-weekly basis just to keep everybody up to date on what we're doing and kind of what's going on in the industry, news from across the industry as well. And Yeah, so feel free to chime in, jump in if you've got a question or a comment. Very informal, guys. We love the audience feedback. So the more you give, the more we have to play off of. This is not just a presentation on, the governmental affairs essentially of the FPVFC, but something we want your feedback on and ideas and stuff
Yeah, we
like that.
definitely welcome your questions. If not, we'll just bore you with whatever we can find in the news.
Exactly. So, although the news, while slow, not exactly boring, this go around. So, let me see. Get this
Any
going.
more exciting news with the Mars little helicopter doohickey?
I didn't look anything up. I knew it performed most of its test flight or most of its flights. It was only rated for 5 flights. However, they are planning on using the same style of drone on a future mission to Titan.
Ooh.
So that's pretty cool news. It went so well that we're gonna send it to another, in this
Another
case, a
planet.
moon, um, but to come in a day late on May the 4th, it's not a moon. Um, Sorry, I had to. I couldn't help myself. Let me.
Dave's not happy with his ambiance.
He's gotta clean it up a little. All right, so let me share my screen real quick, and hopefully this works. I'm gonna go live.
Let's see. I always forget. I have to click the watch stream button to make that show up. There it is.
All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and drop these links into this. So this is
Oh, that
dramatic
was
drone
good.
footage of a tornado before disaster strikes. So an experienced storm chaser, Brian Finger, had a close shave with a raging tornado a couple days ago. Eager to capture some dramatic footage of the extreme weather event, and Finger sent his DJI Mavic 2 Pro right towards the action while being sure to keep a fairly safe distance. The footage shows the tornado's awesome power as it barreled across the land near Yazoo City, Mississippi on Sunday, May 2nd, battering a forest and sending debris skyward. So Mfinger said that the sound you can hear in the video is mostly from his controller, though you can also hear his vehicle's navigation system, offering him probably the most important set of driving instructions he's ever received. Oh man, these guys live dangerous lives. So we're gonna go ahead and play this.
Yeah, I watched this. It was really good footage. Just crazy. I'd
And
still
I do
love.
believe he lost his drone.
Yeah,
in
that's what I
this.
heard too. I would love to see how close I could get to a tornado with an FPV drone, but
Yeah.
technically I'd
One of
probably have
these
to be a lot
days,
closer to it.
if we haven't had a really good haboob here in Arizona probably in a year or two, but one of these days I'd really like to fly close to that. That'd be, yeah, that's insane. But also, for these storm chasers, a great use of the technology.
Yeah,
So,
that's
I
just
mean,
amazing. Coming from somebody who's living in a house that's been hit by a tornado, like this is really cool to see.
yeah, just the awesome power. Look at that forest just getting tore up, all the debris flying around. This is a 7-minute video. Obviously, I'm not going to play the whole thing. Well,
Yeah, Alex,
and
volcanoes, tornadoes.
we've got more on the Iceland volcano too. So just wait.
Four Horsemen, Pestilence.
Right.
Yeah, can you get some good drone footage of cicadas?
Yeah, I know. They're right this year, aren't they?
So I've heard.
All right. So, close that. Next up, Skydio has oops. Hold on. Skydio has started to ship its first X2 enterprise drones with prices from $10,999. So, if you've got $11,000 laying around, maybe you hit it big on Doggy Coin or Bitcoin or any of the other cryptos that are going crazy right now. You can get yourself one of these. So, U.S. drone maker Skydio has begun shipping its first enterprise drones today with prices starting at an enterprise-worthy $10,999. Skydio is best known as a pioneer of self-flying drone tech, but in recent years has shifted its attention away from a consumer market dominated by Chinese giant DJI to courting enterprise customers instead. The switch is partly due to geopolitics. We've talked about this before, where the U.S. government has blacklisted various Chinese drones over spying fears. This means that law enforcement, military, and federal customers are looking for more U.S.-based firms instead. The switch helps Skydio boost to a $1 billion valuation, no doubt assisted by higher prices such businesses can command. Let's see. The X2 drone comes in two major flavors. There's the X2D for defense and federal agencies, and the X2E for enterprises, first responders, and civilian agencies. Both units are available in two configurations. The first has a dual color thermal sensor and is optimized for long range situational awareness. Looks like they have 4K 60 frame per second HDR cameras with 16 times digital zoom, 46-degree field of vision, as well as FLIR thermal camera. Those FLIR thermal cameras, if you haven't looked into them, those things alone are like in the $4,000 to $5,000 just for one of those. So, I mean, that's half the price tag of this drone, considering. Prices for the color thermal configuration would start shipping today. Start at $14,499. And then the color only units are available for pre-order at the $11,000 price. So it'll be interesting to see these kind of pick up if.
And this is to me, this is a clever business strategy from Skydio. If you think back to what Tesla did, the first Tesla was that beautiful little $100,000 sports car. That's a very intelligent way to enter the market with a high price, high margin niche offering. This is a little more than niche, certainly, but an enterprise targeting as well as the good military contracts that Skydio has gotten. They are very, very active in the ASTM working groups. They have their chairman is now a member of the DAC. So an American company working hard to work the various angles of getting good government and municipal and public safety contracts.
Mm-hmm. So while Dave was talking, I did play the little demo video for that Skydio X2D, and it looks like it's got a pretty big battery on it. The controller is a 6.8 inch AMO LED touchscreen, and as well as glove compatible joysticks. So that makes it good for police, military, that kind of thing, who are always out in the field doing stuff like that. So, anywho, I think this just got announced today. Redcat signs letter of intent to acquire Lugas Studios, who is the developers and publishers of Liftoff drone racing software. So Redcat is now, I believe they have Rotor Riot is under their belt. Liftoff will soon be under their belt. Fat Shark is under their belt, as well as Skyper Sonic, I believe. be interesting to see what kind of comes to that. And then I do know that they just entered the Nasdaq market last week, I think. So
And
interested in that.
that just, to their a letter of intent says that they have they're in discussions for an acquisition or a merger of types, and it's not yet a definitive agreement. They have it's not a closed deal, so
Yeah.
we'll keep an eye on this. But it is unusual that a public company would announce a letter of intent. Usually, an LOI is held very close to the vest, and it's done so that you have a tie-up period with the target company that you're working with, so that they agree not to market themselves to other companies. But this is what Redcat has done in the past, so it's
Mhm.
a repeat of what they're doing. So we would anticipate that within, and just my guess completely, no information from anyone in the company. My guess would be that within 30 to 45 days, we would see another press release with definitive agreements and a close date.
Mhm. It does say that Lucas is planning to launch Liftoff Academy, which I'm interested in. Liftoff is probably, the most the program that's seen the most use in my personal life in terms of, you know, playing it, learning tricks in it, stuff like that.
So what's Liftoff
Um,
Academy compared to the normal Liftoff?
So it says it's a more expansive training platform which will teach drone pilots how to fly in various industrial environments, including oil and gas pipelines, cell towers, and automotive manufacturing plants. So
And I'm
it
guessing
seems
that's
like
not
it's
to dive those towers and fly through the
probably not.
pipelines in FPV.
I think it's more of a training on inspection, and which
Sure.
is a smart
Like
move,
the
to be
Skypersonic
honest.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So I do know that Liftoff, they're available for primarily on PC on Steam. Not that I'm advertising for them, but if you want to get your hands on it, and then also available on PlayStation and Xbox. Although I'm not 100% sure if we've resolved the transmitter issue on at least PlayStation. I'm not sure on either one. I'm a PlayStation guy, so that's what I keep track of. But I may be completely wrong on that as well. But I do know last I heard that they were submitting specs to Sony for basically approval of being able to connect a transmitter to the PlayStation 2. So at any rate, there you go. Let's see. So bringing back your volcano, Alex. Um, so absolutely insane footage of an FPV drone melting inside of an active volcano. So drop everything you've been doing and get a load of this first. This comes from Drone DJ. For about 6 weeks now, drone pilot, and I'm going to butcher this name, but Bjorn never mind, Steinbeck, that was pretty easy, has been consumed by the Frograldis mountain volcano in southwest Iceland. When the long dormant volcano on the I'm not even gonna say these names. Anyway, ever since he's enthralled us with several jaw-dropping videos flying directly over the crater and expertly maneuvering the drone between globs of fiery hot lava. This week, Steinbeck started a 12-hour live drone video stream from the volcano. But when it was time to conclude the spectacular event, he did the unthinkable. Steinbeck flew his drone right inside of the active crater. Yes, the lava bath melted the drone, but its sacrifice did not go in vain. Just watch the insane footage of the drone transmitted back before succumbing to the heat. Take a look at that now. I can't imagine doing this on purpose. Like, this would hurt my soul.
Did it say what drone this was?
No. Well, I don't know. It might further down in the article, but
Gosh,
this
it's
is just too insane.
beautiful.
It is. There was also, while we're watching there was also another clip of it may have been him flying, but of getting clipped by a piece of debris while he was flying.
Can't believe it survives that long.
Oh, jeez, insane. I can't believe, like, oh,
Does he point the camera down?
I don't know.
That's what I really want to see.
insane. Oh, there.
There we
It's
go.
looking down a little bit.
Oh, gee. About another minute.
And the camera's having some
Oh,
problems.
it's dying.
The
Yeah,
lens
it's
is melting.
dying. Oh, no. Something's coming off of it. Oh.
I don't know if they had an ND filter on there and it melted off or what.
And that's the end of it.
Oh, gosh.
So, pretty cool, though. I definitely, he's done some beautiful shots over that volcano. Definitely congratulate him for all the stuff he's done. So, watching the drone go towards the end was nothing short of heartbreaking or soul crushing. In my, let's take it a little further than that.
Or it's just
But
like
you'd
walking out
agree.
your front door in the summer, right?
Right. Yeah. Let's see. It's actually surprising the FPV drone even lasted that long. DJI should be very proud of its mighty machine.
So maybe it's the DJI FPV drone?
It might be. Maybe DJI will send him a replacement. I fully encourage DJI to send him a replacement. Just the things he's done on those videos, it's just worth it. So, at any rate, congratulations to him. That would be pretty amazing.
So I think, Alex, the props are only in view depending on what settings you have on the camera.
Might be a zoom, like maybe zoomed in.
And if you've got stabilization enabled or something, from what I've heard.
So this is pretty incredible. So a woman went missing last year. I think in November. When her car, was first reported missing in November last year when her car was sighted near the Dry Canyon Trailhead in Diamond Fork Canyon. This is in Utah. Utah County Sheriff's Officer deputies, search and rescue volunteers searched the area only to find what looked like a disused campsite. Detectives and search and rescue officials with the Utah County Sheriff's Office searched the area by ground and from air, but couldn't find anyone. Let's see. Over the next several months, and this is months. Months. Efforts were made to identify and contact family without success. Adding detectives had contacted the woman's former coworkers and found information suggesting she may struggle with mental health challenges. However, on May 3rd, a UCSO sergeant and search and rescue coordinator returned to the area with a group from a nonprofit aerial search organization in an attempt to find evidence that the woman might still be in the Diamond Fork area. During one of the first attempts, a drone crashed. As the team set out to find it, they came across a tent they believe had been abandoned. They sent the drone up, and apparently on one of its first passes, the drone crashed. So they went looking for the drone that had crashed, and doing that, they came across another small campsite where there was a tent. As they looking at this, the zipper of the tent unzipped, and this woman who we had identified the previous year in November and December of last year sticks her head out. The woman, whose identity has not been released, said that she was said to have lost a significant amount of weight and appeared weak. Authorities believe she intentionally set up the makeshift home, telling officials she rationed some food she had available and foraged for grass and moss while drinking water from a nearby river to stay alive. So, they didn't find her with the drone, but they found her with a drone crash. So who knows? Crashing your drone might save somebody's life. But literally 5 months later. That's
crazy.
insane. And that's a great story. So props to them for going out there with their drones and attempting. Also props to crashing in exactly the right place at the right time. Somebody wanted this woman to be found.
And not just giving up and leaving your drone there, going to find it, right?
Yeah. So that's pretty incredible. On that same subject, this comes out of Michigan, I do believe. A new drone is being deployed on Lake Michigan. Actually, I think it's two of them. That will drop a flotation device when a swimmer is struggling in Lake Michigan, according to a news release from South Haven area. The drone can be operated from shore by emergency responders. It will drop a CO2-charged, water-activated flotation device to swimmers struggling in the water. Infrared camera on the drone can be used to find swimmers in the dark. It detects heat signatures and can also be used for search and rescue in the woods, cornfields, and similar areas.
They're gonna drop life preservers in cornfields.
Well, probably for search and rescue efforts using the camera, but life preservers in Lake Michigan. So there were 56 people who drowned in Lake Michigan in 2020. Let's see, that passed the previous record of 49 drownings in 2012. There were 48 drownings in 2019. So pretty good. I mean, they're addressing an issue, obviously. They're using drone technology to do so. And the drone can, I can almost guarantee you, get out faster than swimmers or even people on a boat having to get into a boat, get the boat started, get out there, save them. Whereas a drone can just go from 0 to out there fairly fast. So
Yeah, it seems
pretty
like
incredible idea.
Great use of a drone, getting stuff out there quick.
Yep.
Curious if they had to do a waiver for that for dropping it because of the CO2 cartridge. Because from what I remember, that you weren't really supposed to be able to do that.
I'm
without
pretty
a
sure
waiver.
there's rules that you can't drop anything basically from an aircraft.
Yeah. So
Well,
you must have got a waiver for that. Like
they might have.
it has to be in a sparsely populated area. I'm pretty sure.
Well, a beach is pretty sparse.
I would guess a lake where someone is drowning
Depends
is
on the time of year.
probably pretty sparse. Yeah, otherwise there'd be enough people to rescue the person, right?
Right.
But yeah.
So this one. Oh, go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
What didn't say anything.
Okay. So this article actually comes from Alex. He sent this to me. So hacking cars from the sky might sound like something out of a sci-fi Fast and Furious film, but researchers have shown how close it is to reality. They were able to crack open a Tesla's door with a remote hack from a drone carrying a Wi-Fi dongle. These bugs were patched in October of last year, so the hack shouldn't be possible today, according to the researchers. But the benevolent hackers, Ralph Philip Weinman, CEO of Hunaman, and Benedict Schmatzel of ComSecurus showed off their exploits today at the CanSec West conference, noting that they required no interaction from anyone in the car. That would have made the hack particularly useful for would-be thieves. So they used a DJI Mavic 2 and a Tesla Model X. They have a talk here, and I'm not going to dive into that video. Actually,
kind of funny that they used a drone for that, but I'm guessing it's just to get their signals closer to the car without physically being closer to it.
Exactly. So it says they could have used the flaws to compromise parked cars and control their infotainment systems over Wi-Fi. It would be possible for an attacker to unlock the doors and trunk, change seat positions, both steering and acceleration modes. In short, pretty much what a driver pressing various buttons on the console can. The attack does not yield drive control of the car, so that's a good thing. But I mean, easily, making it stealable.
Could you imagine being like a security guard watching security cam footage of a bunch of Teslas in a parking lot, and their like doors are opening and moving around, and someone's playing video on the entertainment system, changing the radio station?
That would be nuts. I did. There was a video. I think it was on Twitter somewhere. It showed a dealership or a holding yard for a bunch of Teslas, and it showed them all going through their firmware updates. So Teslas update their firmware via satellite, and they all like blink their lights and all kinds of crazy configurations to show that the firmware update's happening and was accepted and all that kind of stuff. And it just is like a wave of lights going across this parking lot. It was pretty incredible. So and then I'm gonna lead into anything Alex has to talk about with drone racing with this article that comes from Drone DJ, and it talks about the different schools of FPV drone racing. So this is a ongoing series at Drone DJ, which is a pretty cool series, but a series of articles. But drone racing is one of the more widespread types of FPV. After all, the term racing drone is more common than the term quadcopter, especially when somebody outside the hobby attempts to describe our 5-inch FPV quads. But racing isn't exclusive to the regular 5-inch. It comes in all shapes and sizes, from tiny indoor micros all the way up to 18-inch X-class quadcopters. There's even fixed-wing FPV racing. Since racing is a discipline of many sub-disciplines, instead of rounding up, work our way up. So obviously the first one is whoop racing, and this is um, definitely one of the I don't know. Would you say it was as popular, more popular than 5-inch, Alex?
I'd say 5-inch is still more
I can't hear you.
popular. I think
Did I lose you?
5-inch is still more popular.
I can hear Alex okay. Josh may be having some technical difficulties. Did his headset battery die?
You could hear me a second ago,
Yeah.
but now I'm sure he can't hear me.
Not if he's got his
Maybe now.
headphones off his head.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hey, I'm back.
Oh, where'd you? Okay. It's like, where'd you go? There you are.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. So back to my previous question.
Yeah, I'd say 5-inch is more popular than whoop racing still,
Yeah.
but whoop racing's picking up.
Yeah, absolutely. I know locally, I don't know if they still do, but I know locally they had a pretty big chapter that was doing whoop racing here in Phoenix. And I think they were using an office building, but whoop racing is great because you can do it indoors. You can set up, DIY makeshift gates pretty quickly, and being able to do it indoors offers some interesting track configurations for sure. Also, the inertia put off by one of these whoops is usually not big enough to really damage the drone if you crash. And they're relatively cheap entry points to drone racing, so good way to get some practice. Then you got outdoor micros, and these would be like your 2S whoops and your toothpicks. These have been gaining popularity over the last probably year or two.
People actually race outdoor micros?
Never.
Yeah, Tiny Trainer.
Okay.
So yeah, it says the Tiny Trainer community is a cool community development, and you can learn more about it in the video below. It's with a link to, of course, a Joshua Bardwell video. And then you've got the standard 5-inch quads, and the most common type of drone racing you'll see is the 5-inch class. These races are typically MultiGP league races and have their own tiers from rookies to pro. But what makes a 5-inch racing quad stand out compared to their freestyle counterparts? They're built for two things and two things only: speed and agility. Smoothness is not something racers are concerned about, as at those speeds, it turns out the quads are bound to shake a bit anyway. Rather than focus on handling, they're not there to capture footage. They're there to go through all the gates as fast as possible. And typically they'll run 2020 stacks and other micro-sized components to save weight, combined with a smaller profile frame and bottom mount back. So so I think got two different styles of quad. So this would be a freestyle drone that I have kind of pushed towards its limits on weight, and it is closer probably to a racing drone than a freestyle drone. And then this is going to be a pure racing drone. I think this is a Lumineer Chief. And these are super thin arms meant for less drag, more area around the prop.
More lightweight than less drag.
Yeah. Well, compared to the wider arms for sure. And then just minimal body.
Every time I look at one of those racing ones, like, where do you put the GoPro?
You don't.
You don't use one.
Right.
Well, then what's the point?
I did design a GoPro mount for the Lumineer Chief. I think it's on Thingiverse. But yeah, I tend to use racing rigs for freestyle, just because I like the speed. That's just me. And then you have spec racing. Spec racing is going to be basically everybody goes in with the same configuration, same ESCs, same flight controller, same motors, same props, and it comes down more. It edges the needle more towards pilot competence than the gear that you're actually flying.
Kind of like a
So-
NASCAR or stock car racing for drones.
Absolutely.
But you don't go in
Current-
just go in circles.
Yeah, the current main spec racing that's going on is with the Freedom spec.
Mhm.
That's basically the 5533 frame, motors, and 3S instead of 6S.
And I think they're trying to get a Freedom spec race going here in Phoenix, if I remember correctly from the Facebook groups. But it seems to be pretty popular. It surprises me that they're doing 3S on that as opposed
It's
to
just
anything.
to focus on your line more than speed,
Gotcha.
because every mistake is amplified on 3S
Hmm.
because you can't recover as quickly.
That's true. That makes sense. And does it make it? Do you feel it makes it a little more beginner friendly as well?
It could,
Mhm.
but I haven't done it, so I don't know.
Is it a
Alright.
lower?
It might.
Is it a lower cost point, Alex?
It
Than a 5-inch?
is a 5-inch.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It is a 5-inch. It's just a
It's just
certain set of specs that you have to.
it actually might be more expensive because you're using basically heads-up products, which I think that's like 23 a motor, and then 50 or 45 for the frame, and then I don't think there's any specs about the flight controller or the ESC. But yeah, but you have to use a set frame and set motors.
And then obviously outside of that, you have the X class. Well, there's a couple different class: Pro class, Beast class, X class.
The giant ones.
Yeah, and I would love to build one of these one day. Just the cost of all the components is insane. I mean, just the motors alone, I think they're running, beginning price point at like 150 per motor. But it would be incredible to be able to do that.
You have to be able to afford the crashes.
Yeah.
No, it's called you don't crash them.
Yeah,
Where you have a sponsor.
I would not race these. I we've talked about this before. I'm not a racing person, but so crashes I could probably avoid. But yeah. So pretty interesting article on if you're new to you want to get into drone racing, check out Drone DJ's series of articles on FPV and drone racing. Pretty good information there. And this is coming from Vladimir Munkin. So he's based in Serbia. So he's an active racer. But on that note, Alex, what do you got for us today?
Well, I got the parts that the top pilots are using. So
Cool.
yeah, let me. I think I might share my screen for this one because these are based off of surveys from 2020 Global Championships, and so these are going to be the top pilots at nationals, and yeah.
So the top pilots are willing to share what they used, or they're planning on using something totally different the next year, so it's okay to tell you what you used to win this year.
Well, everyone, it's a community, and we share information. So
This is true.
yeah, it's not like other racing communities. As well as people are also most likely going to change stuff. I changed half of my parts already. Yeah. So, is it sharing?
Let's see. I can click on it now. There we go. You can see some nice pie charts.
Yep. So, frames at Champs. Most popular was the Switchback, which is a heads-up frame. Then, I guess the next second one was the Floss. So that's that's probably one of the newer versions to the original version of the Floss. You can also see that in the motors that people used, most was also the heads-up motors. So there's a little bit of a reason behind all this heads-up stuff, because he won 2 times in a row, almost won 3 times in a row. Then for the props, most popular props, HQR38 also his prop.
So
Then,
there's
let's
a lot of
see.
copycats there.
Yes. Second most good favorite prop was the 51466s from GemFan. But yeah, the HQR38s and the GemFan props, those are pretty much what the top pilots are using. I'm currently using the R38s. Motors, I'm using the iFlight motors, the Zing V2s. Well, I'm going to be. Yeah. And then frame, it's a custom frame that I use. But goggles, that's where it's mixed up a bit. You got a couple Orca, HDOs, HDO2s, Fat Shark. They're mostly Fat Sharks, but that's what most of the community uses anyways. Some were using DJI, but with the analog mod, and then Sky Zone. Cameras that top pilots were using. So most of these are nano cameras. So Foxeer Predator Nano and RunCam Nano, those were pretty much what people were using.
Interesting to sort of see that it's like 50-50 RunCam and Foxeer.
Yeah.
They add them all up.
Yeah, I think a lot of pilots are more using Foxeer now, at least in racing, because RunCam is it's expensive. Foxeer has a little bit lower cost than RunCam.
Okay, and
so every time you break your camera, it adds up.
And the quality's similar enough that you might as well go with the cheaper one.
Yeah, there's not much difference in that. Radio controlling, this is where it gets split up quite a bit, and you can also see that there are some people on some newer stuff as well. So there's some people, most people are on Crossfire. I guess second would be FR Sky, third Spectrum, but then we get some people were already running Ghost, and then a very few people had Tracer by then too, and that's just released. So these pilots have just switched over to Tracer.
Yeah, that one. This graph will definitely be interesting to see how it changes throughout this year.
I have a feeling that at Champs this year, it's going to be Ghost and Tracer for the most part. Ghost and Tracer are going to take up half of it, because almost all the top pilots I know have already switched.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You don't think Crossfire is going to hold a significant market share there?
Racing, not for the top pilots. No.
Interesting.
Because, one of my friends who I currently fly with, he just switched to Tracer. I recently switched to Tracer. I know all the top pilots at the races I go to now, a lot of them are using Ghost too. So Crossfire's dying out for racers pretty much. Software, most are using Betaflight, some using Falco X, but some people like Falco X for some reason, but a lot of others like Betaflight.
So absolutely zero KISS or anything else? Just
no, who would use KISS to race?
I don't know.
But yeah.
Interesting. So
no iNav people autonomously racing.
Good luck with that. ESCs, you can see Hobbywing takes the cake, but it's pretty split up between the rest. I have a feeling that the Redux ESC you're going to see a lot more pilots using. That's the one where they basically said, if you destroy it, we'll replace it, when they were doing their prototype batches. So that's going to take some stuff. But the Hobbywing, that's I think I have that on 2 of my racing builds, and it's pretty solid ESC. But other than that, yeah, that's
I don't even
split
see
for the rest of them.
My ESC I use for freestyle is not even on the list.
What's that?
Holy Bro.
Oh, Holy Bro. That's too expensive for racers. We're gonna break it anyways, so why waste our money on it?
Sure.
Yeah. Then if we go looking at goggle modules, most people are using Rapid Fire. We got TBS Fusion in second, and then it's split up between Trudy, and then we got Owl RX, Foxier Wildfire, and Clearview. So yeah, that's.
Would
But
you
Rapid Fire
predict?
took the cake.
Would you predict that any of that will change over time?
I have a feeling that the TBS Fusion will actually increase some, mainly because of its ability to link with Crossfire and Tracer.
Sure.
To just, you can switch it on the module and switches on your quad. I have a feeling that might, but
yeah, I'm not sure that.
Gonna,
yeah, if you already have Rapid Fire, buying Fusion is not really that big a difference. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Rapid Fire is still going to hold a pretty good lead, but I could see TBS growing. Now batteries, Tattoo takes the top, but other than that, it's split between a ton of different stuff. I guess next up we'd have China Hobbyline batteries, or maybe, or GNB. GNB batteries were pretty popular. Pulse, that looks like was also up there, but there's just the one with GNB at 5%. A couple China Hobbylines, those 3.8% each.
Yeah, Tattoo really takes it there.
But
you combine those two.
Yeah, they're more expensive, and those were the V3s, so pilots are probably going to be using the V4s this season.
Is that what you fly?
Really made a name for themselves early on in FPV racing, with their high C, discharge.
Exactly. I could see GNB growing a bit. China Hobbyline's definitely going to increase some, probably. It might, I don't know, definitely, but it might increase. Other than that, a lot of these batteries aren't going to last until champs, so pilots will be getting new batteries soon. And as you can see, no one was using 4S. Few people were using 5S. Yeah, there were some people using 5S. I think there might have been one person who had 4S, but they alternated between 4S and 6S. Then flight controllers. This is also pretty much split. Talon was most popular. Flight 1 was second, and that was the Falcon.
Yeah, it's that same slice of pie as that Falco X, people.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yep. You got the Talon Hobby Wing, because a lot of people use the Hobby Wing ESC, but other than that, it's pretty much split. Pyro also, Pyro and Foxier are up there. The Synergy takes a small amount. That one is a board that you just mount your VTX and your receiver directly onto it, so it's a lot neater and pretty easy to go to. HGLRC, I could see that growing a little bit, and Diatone, a Diatone flight controller. Actually, I don't see any. Did no one use any? But I could see Diatone popping up on here, because they've been sponsoring a lot of pilots recently. So
there was a question in the chat about Express LRS. Is there any talk about that for racing? Obviously, I don't think that really existed when this survey went out, but have you heard much more about that since?
I think the only thing that might get some people to use Express LRS in racing is the chip antenna that they have, because even though that's going to decrease the range,
ceramic antenna or something that's super tiny.
Yeah, that even though that decreases the range, we're not flying far at all with racing, so it doesn't matter too much. But I think the other thing is also I'm not sure, since it's really cheap currently, and that's also made by Happy Model, that receiver, it's not to the quality and reliability that pilots are comfortable to switch yet. It hasn't been proven long enough for pilots to switch to. So with Tracer and Ghost, those are coming from TBS and Immersion RC. So those are reliable companies, easy to jump on the gun basically right away. But Express LRS could be, I wouldn't expect too much from it, maybe a few pilots. But yeah.
Definitely hear a lot of talk about Express LRS lately. A lot of excitement about it anyway.
You want to see what the top 8 used? mostly a switchback, and then Engineer used his own frame,
Mm-hmm.
which I expect Engineer to use his own frame.
Xylo
Heads up,
motors. Wow.
yeah. Xylo was up there, Vanover, and Heads Up pretty much takes the cake for that. The Heads Up setup did win at Champs. Props, R38, that got split a little bit more than I thought. I didn't expect Azure to be up there. 5146. Then goggles, doesn't really matter goggles wise. You can use anything. Cameras, yeah, Run Cam, and then Fox Ear. Controlling more of the top pilots were using Tracer and Ghost took a little bit more of that cake, and then you could actually see FR Sky was very little, and we got Futaba and Spectrum even higher. So there are more using. Actually, none of them used Crossfire.
Yeah, I see that. That's crazy.
Yeah, so none of those top pilots use Crossfire.
Yeah, I know Crossfire definitely has issues with a lot of people racing at the same time.
Then software, Betaflight, Falco X. So that means 2 of them used Falco X, and then the other 6 used Betaflight. Because top 8. So yeah, easy math. ESC, that's pretty split evenly. Hobbywind takes it a little bit, but pretty evenly split. I'm surprised about the HGLRC making it up there because in my past experience, HGLRC hasn't been to the good enough quality. Always just fall apart on me, but that could just be my luck. Then Rapid Fire and Wildfire take that one for goggle modules. Batteries, Tattoo took it.
Yeah.
And the Pyro and Flight 1 took the flight controllers.
What this is telling me is that you can basically run any of the more popular stuff and still be in the top 8 or 10 of the racing scene.
Oh yeah.
It's not really like a monoculture yet where everybody who's in the top 100 all does exactly this. There's still a lot of variety, which is good to see.
Yeah. Like the main thing I think is just the props, and most people are using GemFan and the 5146 and R38s. The Azures, I guess 2 people in the top are using them, but those are the 2 props right now. I think the R35s might take a slice soon.
So I mean, it seems
at least
like
in the overall one.
Kind of to piggyback on what Dan was saying, for those who are looking to get into drone racing, it's not about, it's not going to be exclusive to the gear you fly on how well you do. A lot of it's going to come down to your skill.
Exactly.
The nice thing about our hobby is the customizability of it. I say that word 5 times fast. But being able to adjust your flight controllers to the way you fly, and making sure, I mean, the important parts are that your gear is reliable is going to be the most part, and making sure you're getting the bang for your buck out of things like your battery and your motors.
And if you don't do well, you have a near infinite amount of reasons why your quad didn't work well and things you can try to replace to make it go better.
Right. So, and while, it's interesting to see this, it's nice to also see that it's not exclusive to one particular setup. So, if you're looking to get into the hobby, it's something you want to do, definitely jump out there and give it a shot. I mean, there's a huge community, and I think one of the things that first drew me to this community, and something that has, come and gone over the several years that I've been in the hobby, but first impressions was the amazing community built around it. And when I was starting, people wanted to help. People would jump out there, and that same community still out there. There's groups like FPV Builders and other amazing Facebook groups out there who love helping other people succeed in this hobby. And there's also, as any social media community kind of evolves, there's always some, stragglers around that like to cause a ruckus. But at the same time, most people in this community want to help. So if you have a question, ask. Our Discord is full of people just asking opinions and on stuff, and I'm glad that resource is there for everybody. Um, really big shout out to the overall FPV community. They're the ones that make us want to continue doing what we're doing, and being available for both new and veteran pilots alike. I mean, heck, even veteran pilots have questions all the time. So none of us knows everything. Dave, you got anything for us, sir?
What's going on in the world of the DAC these days?
Well, before the DAC, I just mentioned Rampage. Alex is headed to Rampage next week, and with a little bit of luck, he'll have some FPV Freedom Coalition stickers with him.
So just find me.
That's it.
Find Alex for your sticker fix.
So we're happy to send Alex, and it should be a good time. And if you're there, please say hi. On the DAC scene and the ASTM scene, we're wrapping up 2 tasking groups. Tasking Group 9, which is low altitude situational awareness improvements using remote ID information, and Tasking Group 10, gender neutral language in aviation. So I'm involved in both of those, and like I say, we're wrapping them up, and it's still a tentative date. It's not confirmed, but it's looking like it's June 23 is the DAC meeting. And on the ASTM, we're still working to create an update to the F38 F3411 standard, which is the remote ID standard from ASTM, which will be approved with a little bit of, we're anticipating an approval by the FAA, which will create a means of compliance, which will lower the cost for anyone developing and releasing a remote ID broadcast module or a standard remote ID UAS.
I'm sure that'll be big news once that ASTM standard is published.
I think it will. I'm hopeful that a number of companies jump on that and start using it. We know of a couple who are already interested, and that's good news. It looks like it will not be just one company, and that for the broadcast module, and that's good news for us when we want to retrofit our UAS and both wings as well as drones.
Yeah, I'll definitely be curious to see what comes of that and what kinds of modules are available or will be available, if any.
Yes, we're arguing now about some of the GPS requirements of the rule, so that will dictate the baseline costs. So we're hopefully we win out on some of those, and that may delay the release of the means of compliance, but like I've said in past weeks, there are about 110 people involved in these weekly meetings, and these are manufacturers associations, but these are deep technical folks and senior level positions volunteering time to work on an international standard. So my hat's off to folks spending their time on this. It's useful for us, and also working with the UTM, or Unmanned Traffic Management ASTM standards group, since I think the big areas for us to watch out after remote ID are beyond visual line of sight, and then followed by unmanned traffic management. Big areas in terms of lots of regulation to impede our rights, but making progress and things going along pretty well.
Excellent, thank you. Again, Alex will be at Rampage, and do me all a favor, for those of you who go see him, get some of our stickers from him, but do us a favor, leave one of your own if you've got them. We'd like to have a collection of stickers that Alex interacts with. Ask him questions if you've got questions about what's going on at the DAC, what's going on with ASTM, regulations, and he's a very knowledgeable person, an excellent resource for FPV, and If he doesn't know the answer, he'll find it, and he has all of us on speed dial if he needs a little bit of assistance. So we love that we get to go out and interact with you guys at Rampage. I wish more of us could go, but being able to send Alex and have him there, and as well as he's going to be a flight line monitor, correct?
Yeah, one of the flight line managers.
So not only is he going to be there to answer your questions, but he's going to help you guys stay safe while you're out there having fun. So pretty incredible opportunity for us to be able to do that. And
We're also going to have a Q&A there too. So it's going to be a set Q&A. So you guys can also show up and ask me whatever question you want, and I'll do my best to answer it.
Try to stump
Alex's
Alex
own Ask Me Anything.
Excellent.
About
Thank you.
FPV.
Thank
There you
you.
go.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for going.
Absolutely. All right. So anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns, anything? All right. Well, with that, thank you for coming. We appreciate you guys being here again. Tell your friends. We'd love to have them here, and we'd love to have some questions from you guys or anything that you want to offer. So with that, I will say good night and give you back the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good